take one look at me. Now look at Dead Cells. Now back to me. Now back to Dead Cells. Who would kick whose ass? Dead Cells. Dead Cells would kick my ass.
3.
Dead Cells is a 2D Metroidvania roguelite developed by Motion Twin, or at least that's the professional way of describing it. My way of describing it is that it's an ass-kicking simulator, and that goes both ways, both for and against the player. Basically, every time I have awesome weapons and I'm doing really well, I'm kicking everyone's ass. I think I'm gonna make it through the whole game. Nothing can beat me. I will destroy everything. And then, in like a split second, it's all gone. This never happens over the course of a long period or anything. It's just like one battle, I'm kicking ass, then just dead instantly, no matter how much fucking health I have. It's an awesome and exhilarating experience, but at the same time, really depressing, especially when I'm making it past the first boss, which is something that does not happen often when I'm playing this game. I'll be in the next area and I'll be doing really well for myself, have the best weapons I've gotten, and then something comes up from behind and wrecks me. The thing is, like any roguelite, this isn't something that I let get to me. Every playthrough, I'm going through new areas and unlocking new blueprints to try out different weapons and skills. Any blueprints you get turned in between each level in what is sort of a safe area, and then you spend cells, which are dropped from enemies. Cells are used to upgrade your different skills and your weapons, or even to increase your health vial or how much gold you get to keep after each death. They're absolutely essential, and they really hit hard when you die when you have a lot of them, because you lose like 50 cells at a time sometimes, which is a huge chunk towards certain upgrades. There's a huge variety of the different weapons and skills in the game. Weapons can be anything from shields to swords to bows to even whips. And what's really cool is you can equip any of them at any time. I could have 2 swords if I want to, or 2 daggers, or a sword and a shield, or a shield and a bow, or 2 fucking shields if I want. None of them are weak in my experience. They all have a certain use, and you could definitely get through the game using any of them. Of course, some are better than others, but that's a balancing thing, and this game is still in early access anyways. The skills are something I almost want to call overpowered. However, like I mentioned earlier, I'm suddenly dead in a few seconds, so maybe they're not overpowered. But basically, they all have like 3 to 4 second cooldowns, so you can basically use them whenever the fuck you want. Like when I have an ice grenade, every single time I enter battle, I just throw it out there and then destroy everyone. There's an auto turret. There's saws that you throw on the ground for people to get trapped in. And as you keep unlocking more and more, you're gonna wanna be trying out each one because everything is randomly generated, so you never know exactly what you're gonna get, so you wanna kind of master each weapon and skill. Also, one of my favorite things about Dead Cells is kind of how it lets you choose everything. Like I said earlier, it lets me choose what weapons I have, choose which skills I have. It also lets me choose how difficult I want the game to be each time. So basically, the first stage always has 3 exits: an easy exit, a medium exit, and a really hard exit. So maybe if I got some really good drops this time around, I'll go for the hard exit. And then the thing is, once I beat the hard exit, I have a choice of going to an easier or a harder level, so on and so forth. So every level, aside from boss levels, you have the choice to be doing these, and that's really, really cool in my opinion. This starts to taper off later on in the game once you get past like the first boss and such, but the game is in early access and it's 50% done, so I'm sure that more levels are going to be added as time goes on. Like I said earlier, the combat makes you feel bad ass. Getting into it with enemies is really tight and polished. Whenever I miss a sword strike or an arrow or get hit in a stupid way, it's always my fault. The game gives you a really awesome dodge roll similar to the one you get in Dark Souls. However, the entire time you're rolling, you're invincible and you can roll past any attack, so use that to your advantage. The amount of runs I've had with this game are probably around 20 to 25, so I've been able to see most of the enemies, try out most of the weapons, and try out most of the skills. And I really have to say, it's ridiculous how well polished this game feels. I'm constantly forgetting that it's not a full game. Each playthrough I'm learning something. I'm making sure to keep out for secret areas and hidden items. I'm trying out different strategies against the boss if I can ever get to him. I'd have to say my one complaint right now is that the stages do get a bit repetitive, but to be fair, I'm constantly dying and having to start back at the beginning, so that's kind of my fault too. The stages are randomly generated, but they don't feel that different from one another from my experience. They're usually just small differences that you wouldn't even notice unless you're really paying attention. But overall, Dead Cells is a brutal and challenging game, which is something I'm not as used to experiencing anymore. Like the Dark Souls games, I start to kick those games' ass after a while. It's nice to have a game kicking mine back for once. I 100% recommend this game right now, even if it is in early access. I'm really excited to see what sort of weapons and skills and rooms are introduced later on. That concludes this episode of It's an Indie Game. The corresponding Let's Play for each game will be up the next day. Also, reviews for all of these games once they come out will be up on thecoalition.com, so be sure to go check those out. I'll also be linking them down in the description once they're up. Don't forget to subscribe for all the latest thoughts and opinions on the newest indie games. And don't forget to leave your thoughts and comments on each video.